Hello and welcome back to 100 Yards of Football Sports Talk Radio. I'm your producer, Jeremiah Long, and joining me to talk about the Ohio State Buckeyes versus the Minnesota Golden Gophers is our great host, the man who brings you the most football information each week that a human can handle. It's Mr. Logan Landers. How's it going, brother?
Hey, what's going on, Jeremiah? Football is finally back. There's a few games that came on this past weekend on Saturday. Oh, we got a quick turnaround, though. This one's going to be on Thursday night. Oh, it's going to be a good game. The Buckeyes and the Golden Gophers. Going to be a great matchup. I can't wait to get into it.
Absolutely. And for everybody watching, thank you so much for subscribing to our YouTube. Every new subscriber we've been getting on YouTube has been blowing us up. We've been getting so many comments. We love your comments. We're going to be responding to a bunch of comments. I'm actually going to take a little bit of time and come back and respond to quite a few comments here in the next few days. Thank you so much. It has been an amazing ride so far. And our Facebook, is where we kind of really pushed our social media first. So thank you for your follows there. Thank you for everybody who's been joining us over on Twitch. And then, of course, thank you so much for everybody who's been listening to our podcast every day. We have new podcasts all the time, pretty much every day. Just look up 100 Yards of Football to find those podcasts. But thank you so much again, because our growth has just been tremendous. And the last year has really shown us that you love to see in-depth football knowledge. You love to learn about the teams. You love our history specials. You love our interviews. And we just love bringing it to you. So just keep in mind, we are going to be here for you throughout the season to bring everything that you need to know, every fandom, and we can't wait to get back to football. So without further ado, Mr. Landers, tell us, Buckeyes versus Golden Gophers, what do we have to look forward to this entire game for both of the teams?
It's going to be a good one, man. It's a battle between the Buckeyes and the Gophers, a battle in the Big Ten. Both of these teams are having a good bit of a year. People have a very high prediction, very high ceilings, especially for Ohio State. Minnesota's, people think about Minnesota as a solid football school. I think they're going to do good this year. I don't expect them to run the table or anything insane like that, but I do expect the Gophers to have a solid season. Ohio State, a little bit of a turnover. Justin Fields is no longer there. Got drafted in the NFL. He might be playing for the Chicago Bears sooner rather than later. Had a very good preseason. So we'll see how he does in the NFL. It's time for someone new to step in. It's time for the Buckeyes to kind of reroute, time to see what they can do with this new crop of young talent, seemingly every single season, because we see with guys like Alabama and Georgia and some of the bigger names in college football, these schools lose a lot of their good talent every year or two, and you just have to keep rebuilding and rebuilding. And that's how dynasties are made in college football is, you lose all these great talents and all this turnover so quick, but how can you replace it with the next man up? And I think Ohio State does have a very solid team coming into 2021. CJ Stroud is the man on deck. He is the new quarterback for the Ohio State Buckeyes, star quarterback, and man, it's looking like he is going to have a tremendous season. There's a lot of hype around this young kid, and rightfully so. He was a stud in high school. He's only 19, going to be 20 in October. So he's a young guy. He's got a good arm, and there's a lot of star potential with this young man. And I think that with the cast and crew, the supporting players for Ohio State, he's going to have a very good year. Am I expecting him to put up Justin Fields numbers from the last few seasons? Not quite yet, but I do expect him to have a great season. I think that Stroud is going to be a welcome addition to this offense. He's going to have a great season, I think, and he's going to have a good opening day against the Minnesota Golden Gophers. So they do have a great wide receiving core. Was probably, maybe one of the best wide receiving rooms in the country, let alone just in their conference. And, of course, that is led by Chris Olavey, who's coming back. People didn't think he would be coming back. They thought he would be one of the top wide receivers drafted in the 2020 NFL draft, but he decided to come back. He wanted to get a few more runs, come back for his senior season. It's pretty rare you see that now. Guys come back for their senior year, so that lets you know that he's committed to both his education as well as on the field. So he's going to have, I think, another breakout year, and he's going to go into the 2021-22 NFL draft. I'm going to predict it now as the top wide receiver taken, the first one off the board, because he's got that much potential. He's got that much talent, and he's proven it on and on the field each and every week. Number one target. He got 50 catches, 729 yards, and 7 touchdowns. So not too shabby at all. I think he's going to break that 1,000-yard mark this season, maybe get around 10 touchdowns. But I know the Golden Gophers, as well as the rest of the NCAA, is going to be covering him like a hawk because he's got that much just breakaway speed, and his hands are off the charts. I expect Chris Olavey to have an amazing season. And also, I think Garrett Wilson is going to have another good year. Whenever Olavey's covered up, you got Wilson on the other side doing his work as well. Yeah, got about 17 yards a catch last season, 43 grabs, and 723 yards with about 6 scores as well. So you have kind of a mirror effect with these two guys. They have pretty similar stats, and it's going to be interesting to see with the young quarterback, the brand new quarterback, who he's going to pick as his favorite. Will it be Olavey or will it be Wilson? And I think both of that combination of those three gentlemen are going to have a tremendous season. I think that they're going to run ruckshot across the defenses throughout the entire year. And I think a lot of people predict that as well. I think they're going to have a great year. And I think that those three are the keys to Ohio State's offense clicking like it should be each and every season. Let's keep it moving now. The O-line, it's looking pretty solid. They lost a few guys, but it does have all-star talent, of course. You have a lot of guys who are coming back. You have Thayer Munford coming back for one more year. And you have a future guy who people already peg as one of the best offensive linemen in Nick Petit-Frere, who is a left tackle, a big guy. The pass protection, it can work a little bit. It did have a few damp spots, but I think that overall they're going to have a good season. I think that I wouldn't worry too much if I was Ohio State about how my offense is going to work. I think they're going to be just fine, and I think they're going to have a good year, of course, with Master Teague as their running back. Great name, first and foremost, but he's proven that he is a solid running back. So their offense, I think, you did lose Justin Fields, which it does hurt you. You lost a guy who was absolutely explosive. We all know what he was able to do at Ohio State. But I like the star potential. I liked how Stroud is going to do. I think that he might struggle a little bit. I'm not saying he's going to throw for 5 picks or anything in a game, but we might not see the same explosiveness right out of the gate. But give him a few games. Hey, maybe he might go off for 400-something yards in this game against the Golden Gophers. You just never know. But I like this kid. I think he's going to look great. And I think Ohio State's offense is going to be clicking in this game here. Let's get over to their defense, though. I like Haskell Garrett, the defensive tackle, senior veteran, has done everything you can do. He's going to be a surefire pick in the NFL draft once he leaves, and it's going to be a great year. He's 6'2", 300 pounds, so he is looking great. And I think that along with him, that D-line is absolutely ferocious. You have guys like Zach Harrison, like Tyreek Smith. And then you have a guy in the cornerback position I know Bobby Butler probably loves with Sevyn Banks, who's a senior. So Ohio State is bringing back a good bit of talent who are veterans who have been in this playbook for quite a while. And that helps, especially when this team is trying to contend for another national championship. They're trying to get back to that college football playoff. And so far, with just looking at it on paper before they've even played a regular season snap, it's looking like they could definitely stay in that position and get there at the end of the year. But let's talk about their opponents. Let's talk about the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Personally, one of my favorite names throughout college football. I think it's probably the Golden Gophers, the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. Hey, college football's got some great names, and I think the Golden Gophers, they're just their name value is going to reflect how good they are, man. They're going to have a good season. I think all in all, I think that they're looking very solid. They didn't have the best year last year. People might think that it's kind of a fluke. They call it a COVID year. They went 3-4 last year in the Big Ten, so not the best. But you have PJ Fleck, who's done a very good job. And they're coming into this year with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. How are they going to do? Can they at least stand toe-to-toe with the Ohio States of this world? Can they shock the world and get this win? Well, let's look at their talent. I think that they're going to put up a good fight. I think that Tanner Morgan is a criminally underrated quarterback. I mean, he was very efficient in 2019. I think that he's going to come back in 21 and have a great year. Last year, a little bit of a down year, but like I said, that was kind of how it was for the entire Golden Gophers program. But I think he's going to look solid, though. I think he's definitely going to complete about 65%, maybe even 70% of his passes. He's that efficient. He can throw the ball. He can hit the good targets. He's not going to throw for 1,000 interceptions either. So I think he's going to be fine. Now, the real key, I think, is you lost Rashad Batman. He got drafted. He's no longer there. That was their top wide receiver. He is out of the way. So who is going to step up and who is going to really kind of take those reins and be that number one receiver coming into 2021, having to replace all that talent that Batman had, man, because he was an absolute stud. And I think that someone that might help out on the offense is Daniel Jackson, a very good player, wide receiver. I think he might take that next big step, and he's got everything you want, man. He's got speed, he's got size, he can catch the ball. I think he's going to be kind of the one guy you look at on that wide receiving core that is going to help out, and it's going to be hard to replace what Batman did, but I think that he's going to come close to getting equaling his production along with another good teammate they're getting with Dylan Wright coming over from Texas A&M, a good transfer that they got. I think those two guys are really kind of going to be the 1-2 punch that you want at your offense to really kind of get things going, get things moving in the best direction. Let's move over to the defense, man, because actually, before I go over the defense, I forgot to mention, how can I forget this guy? It's early in the morning. It's 8 in the morning. I'm still trying to get the cobwebs out of my head. But I can't talk about this Golden Gophers offense without bringing up one of the, probably people might say, the best running back in college football this season, in Mohammed Ibrahim. One of the toughest backs that you could even think of. He absolutely lit the world on fire last year during the craziness that was going on with the COVID shortened season, with all the teams they played. So in just a few games, because it wasn't even a full schedule, they only played in 7 games. He ran for over 1,000 yards, and he had 15 touchdowns. So just a sample size, I think, of what you can do. He didn't even play a whole season. He played 7 games, and he ran for over 1,000 yards and 15 touchdowns. What more can he say? I expect this guy to definitely duplicate his success for last year. I do think he's going to get over 1,000 yards. That's not a shock. The 15 touchdowns might be a little bit of a stretch, I think. I do expect him to get over 10. But, man, what a great breakout year for the young man. And I think that he is the star. That's why I had to save him for last on the offense before we move over to the defense. Because, man, he's just his electricity that he brings and the talent as well to the Golden Gophers offense is unmatched. So he's going to have if the Golden Gophers want to win this game, he's definitely going to have a breakout day and rush for a lot of yards. And it's going to be hard, though, because Ohio State's got a lot of big guys who are going to try and stop that run at each and every turn. Now let's go over to the defense now that I've covered the stars on the offensive side of the ball for Minnesota. So the defense, they're looking pretty decent. I mean, can they improve? Of course. Are they perfect? No. But you do have a good amount of talent all around the board on your D-line, on your D-backs. You have Coney Durr, who's your cornerback, looking solid. 5'10", 200. He did have a knee injury that he had to overcome, but overall, he's coming into his senior season. He's probably going to be all Big Ten at the end of the year, people might say, just because he's that solid at the cornerback position. It wouldn't surprise me if he got an interception or 2 against C.J. Stroud, the new quarterback for Ohio State. He might be feeling the pressure, might be feeling some nerves. You never know. So I think that Durr is going to be great. I think that also a good guy they're getting who's transferring over is Niles Pickney, guy who was formerly at Clemson. So he's coming over to Minnesota. He's trying to get this team on the right track, get them back to a winning record. And I think he's going to have a good day for the Gophers whenever he's ready to suit up and get on the field. You also have guys like Boy Moff, who's a great DN. Tyler Nurbin in the backfield as a safety. He's going to be doing some good work as well. So I think all in all, when you look at Minnesota, like I said, you have Tanner Morgan. You have Chris Ottman-Bell, who's going to be your great wide receiver. You have Mohammed Ibrahim, who's your stud running back. So Minnesota isn't a pushover by any means necessary. I think that this is going to be a close game. I think that if not, I don't want it to be a blowout because I want to see a tough football game between some of these teams. After some of the games that were on this past weekend, I want to see a close game. I want to see something competitive. So I think this is the game to look at. I believe that Ohio State will pull it out in the end, though. They just have too much talent, I think. But I do expect that Minnesota will put up a fighting chance. I expect the Buckeyes to win maybe by about 2 scores, got 2 touchdowns on them. But I think the Golden Gophers are going to have a good showing, and it's going to be a promising start, even though it won't end up in the win column this year to kick off their season. So if you're a Buckeyes fan, it's going to be a good day. You're going to get your first win. And if you're the Gophers, you're going to play tough and move on to your next game. But it's all right because I think they got a lot of talent. And I think that losing record they had last year is going to be a thing of the past. You don't got to look at it anymore. So I do expect the Gophers to get a winning season this year.
I can't agree more. The Gophers last year happened. It's gone. It's time for a fresh new season. We are back at it in college football. Of course, Ohio State's going to be doing it big as they always do. So they're going to be bringing it to the house. So, Golden Gophers, you have your work cut out for you. But it's a whole new season. There's no telling what kind of creative plays and amazing work that you guys did in the offseason so that you can come strong, surprise everybody, and just rock it out. And I can encourage every Gophers fan and every Buckeyes fan in this one way. Football is back in a huge way. It's not going to be like last season where, we had so many incredible, talents who didn't get a chance to show what they could do in the way that they really want to. And these are young guys. These are guys that these are their first chances to really cut their teeth on a lot of these plays. And they've only been in it for a few years. These are college students. And so as they get their chance to really shine, I see a lot of people with a chip on their shoulder who are ready to come in and show what they can really do. Well, everybody watching, please tell us, what do you think? Do you think that Ohio State's going to run away with it? Do you think the Golden Gophers might get the upset coming right out? That would be a crazy way to start their season, right? So tell us, what are those keys that you feel would get the Gophers or get the Buckeyes to come out on top in this game? And if you want to, you can go over to our YouTube, you can go over to our Facebook and leave us a comment as well. Put it right there on our video. You can go on Twitch and tell us exactly what you think. Or, I really like to listen to the podcast. So everyone listen to our podcast, thank you. But if you're not listening to our podcast, what are you waiting for? Run over and pull up your Spotify app. Open it up. Type in 100 yards of football, and you will see this screen pull up with our 50-yard line football, 100 yards of football, brought to you by the Believe Podcast Network. Leave us a review. We love your reviews. We read them. We respond to them. We want to know what you think about the show, and we cannot wait to hear from you. And for us, we put out podcasts pretty much every day. So you can listen on Apple Podcasts. You can listen on Google. You can listen wherever you listen to podcasts, and we will be here for you. That's literally our jobs. We come and bring it to you every single week, and we bring you every preview we can. We bring you interviews with legendary players. We bring you history specials where we break it down. Even a little later today, we'll have a history special that's all about the year 1978. Mr. Vincent Turner, our football encyclopedia and our founder, he is going to break down all of the amazing events that happened in football in the year 1978. So you're going to want to be there for that video. And if you missed that video, you can always go back and listen to it on our podcast, along with all of our other great Legends videos and our great interviews. And you can see how did we do on our previews videos for your favorite teams. So please go over to our podcast, listen to that, send us a review because they help us so much over with Apple Podcasts and Spotify when you follow, and all of those places where podcasts can be listened to. And you can listen to it in the morning when you're on your way to work. You can listen to it while you're at work, or if you work from home while it's in the background of your day. And then on your drive home, or if you spend a lot of time in the car running around like on Uber, we'd love for you to play us. If you're an Uber driver, we'd love for you to play our podcast while you drive everybody around so that they can get some great information too. And they might go, hey, what's that podcast you're listening to? And you can tell them 100 yards of football, sports talk radio. Well, for the entire team here, I am Jeremiah Long, the producer, and you've been listening to our breakdown of the Ohio State Buckeyes versus the Minnesota Golden Gophers, and we'll be right back with another live video with our host, Mr. Logan Landers. See you soon.